When we talk about inflammation, Mekisha, we usually think about heat, redness, pain, and swelling. When we talk about acute, means right away inflammation is amazing. Why? Because inflammation is one of the systems for our body to know, okay, you know what, there is a danger, we need lots of blood circulation, we need lots of antibodies to come in and help in this specific spot.
Yeah.
But the problem comes in when we are talking about a chronic condition of inflammation, especially when we are talking about the gut health, or we talk about internal organs, because we do not feel the heat internally, right?
Yeah.
We don't feel or see the redness. We might
Yes.
sometimes feel the pain, or sometimes we might not even feel the pain. The problem is not the meat, but the problem is where we are buying them. So imagine how much amount of antibiotics they are giving to that cow or any kind of meat that we are eating.
Yes.
So we are eating antibiotics that we don't need, right? So that is when I'll go and refer back to what I said, that our body's trying to fight the problem that problem does not exist. So if you have an organic good meat and you know where the source is coming from, absolutely, it's amazing. But the reason why I said high amount of meat, because there is very less fiber. And when I say very less fiber, we said fiber is extremely important for our digestive system because it pulls the water, and it also promotes good bacteria, and it prevents bad bacteria.
Welcome to the Skin Deep Podcast, everyone. This is your go-to podcast for everything skin health and self-care, especially when it comes to eczema and dermatitis and other skin conditions. I'm your host, Mekisha Banks. Join us as we have expert-led conversations about all things skincare and what's stopping you from achieving the skin that you want. And that would be through self-care practices, skincare rituals, or any other types of treatments that you need in order to bring you closer to your skincare goals. So join us in this episode.
Today we're talking all about the inflammation, all about nutrition.
Yeah.
And so much exciting.
Well, just really quickly, just to introduce yourself, go ahead and let everyone know, because I know some people were here last time, some people weren't, but please go ahead and introduce yourself. I really want everyone to know who you are.
Thank you so very much, Mekisha. My name is Zahra. I am the founder and CEO of Well to Well. So at Well to Well, we offer nutrition coaching, life coaching, personal training, and group classes. I'm a kinesiologist, holistic nutritionist, and at the same time, a life coach, because I believe in mind-body connection. So if we want to look in different topics, it all starts from our mindset to the movement to, of course, what we put in our body. So my favorite hats to wear is, I would say, nutritionist, life coach, and of course, movement. It broke my heart to know that the certification, or I would say the degree that I spent all my life, is less important than nutrition, which is kinesiology. So
yeah, and nutrition is important because, you know, that's why I wanted to have you part of Everbella's health experts, because, you know, in terms of just understanding eczema, it goes beyond just products. You know, I never want people to feel like, oh, only use the products and that's the only thing that helps their skin. It goes beyond that. It's a whole system of things that affect their skin altogether. And that's why today the topic was really about inflammation and making sure people understand, you know, what is causing those triggers in their body, because, you know, the whole series this month is about triggers and everything, but for sure nutrition is such a big part of what makes their eczema flare up. And, you know, I want to, first of all, let's go with the basics, because some people are like, some people think they know what inflammation is, and some people don't know what inflammation is. So go ahead and give us like a very basic, broken down layman's language of what inflammation is. Please go ahead.
Absolutely. So when we talk about inflammation, Mekisha, we usually think about heat, redness, pain, and swelling, right? Absolutely. Like it is very simple, easy. We all understand if we fall down, let's say I hurt my knee, what's going to happen? The knee is going to be swollen, it's going to be red, it's going to be heated, and it is going to be
Mm-hmm.
painful. Now, because inflammation is one of the systems for our body to
Mm-hmm.
know, okay, you know what? There is a danger. We need lots of blood circulation. We need lots of antibodies to come in and help in this specific spot. But
Yes.
the problem comes in when we are talking about a chronic condition of inflammation, especially when we are talking about the gut health
Mm-hmm.
or we talk about internal organs, because we do not feel the heat internally, right?
Yeah.
We don't feel or see the redness. We might
Yes.
sometimes feel the pain, or sometimes we might not even feel the pain.
Mm-hmm.
For example, for the spine, in the bones, vertebrae, we do not have blood cells to actually feel the pain or the
Mm-hmm.
swelling aspect of it. So inflammation always starts with a stimuli. So the goal of inflammation is very simple. It is to respond to that stimuli and restore balance. It's like there
Mm.
is a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how to fix this problem.
Yeah.
But with chronic condition means the body is trying to fight a problem that does not
Mm-hmm.
exist. Now,
Okay.
how can we
Yeah.
fix it? Right. Like, how can we fix that? The body's trying to fight a problem, but there's no
Mm-hmm.
problem. This is because of what we put in our body. For example, nutrition and lifestyle. So, how do I know that I have inflammation?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
now,
And I love
okay.
what you're saying, because what I realized, one, I thought it was brilliant, because it's so funny. It is true. When people get a cut on their arm or their leg or whatever on their body, they know that's inflammation. They know that's actually like irritating their skin, and then you have to do something to fix it, right? That's when all the antibodies come out. But inside the body, it's true. It's almost like this hidden ninja that no one even knows that's there, but it's causing them to have an issue. And I never even took that in, as in like, it's silent, it's not really visible, but people don't realize that they have inflammation, so they're kind of in denial about the inflammation. They're always like, no, I eat relatively good. Like, I do consultations all the time about skin, in terms of like, for facials and stuff like that too. And when I talk to people, like, most of the time, the amount of acne that they have on their body, or the irritation that they have on their skin, it's because of inflammation. But they're like, I eat relatively well. But then when you go deeper, like another layer and another layer and another layer about their nutrition, they're like, oh, actually, yeah, no, I had sugar. Oh, actually, I eat a lot of like wing stop or wing something, and then that causes inflammation. So I actually completely agree with that inflammation is like the silent thing that's happening within their body, and most of the time people don't realize it's there. But it could be, like you said, acute, or it could be chronic, and at the end of the day, it's still inflammation, and they still have to tackle it. So my question to you then is there an easy fix? Is there a long-term thing? Or what could they do about really kind of addressing that inflammation?
Great question. So for them to find out how to fix a problem, first of all, they need to know if they have that problem or not, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time, as you mentioned, people live in a denial mode.
Yeah.
So this comes a lot to my consultation for weight loss, muscle
Yeah.
gain, or mental health. We
Yeah.
live in a denial mode. So the fact is, not everybody might have inflammation, but when we're talking about eczema, we know that chronic skin condition can cause inflammation, can cause redness, itchiness, dry or rusty skin, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is correlated. It
Yeah.
is so correlated that we know. But for somebody else who might not have eczema or who might not be aware of it, memory loss can be one reason that they might have confusion. They might have foggy thoughts, or they might also have bloating or gas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's not confuse. Sometimes when we eat lots of protein can also cause bloating, but now you might have like digestive problems. Some people
Yes.
suddenly gain weight or suddenly lose weight. This can be
Yes.
another symptoms of it, right? Or the simple way, as you mentioned, when you do your consultation, is sugar and fat. If I'm somebody who have high amount of sugar, high amount of processed food, fat, gluten, or I drink alcohol, or I smoke. Like I do have
Yes.
some of my friends that they're really, really clean with their nutrition. They are religiously following their exercise routine, but just because they are drinking so much, now again, we don't know that alcohol itself is pure sugar, so I'm still putting that sugar in my body that
Yes.
takes long time for it to digest. So again, I'm putting this. Now, is there any quick fix for inflammation or not? So we are talking about, again, acute or chronic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a solution. So the fact is that our cells die, rejuvenate, and then we get new
Yeah.
cells. So same like that. Every time, like when I'm talking with Mekisha 30 years later, if I'm talking with Mekisha, that's going to be a whole new body of
Yeah.
Mekisha that I'm talking, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if from today I start and take the first step to a
Mm-hmm.
healthier life choices,
Mm-hmm.
movement, and proper nutrition, balanced diet, I can fix it. Now,
Okay.
if we are talking about overnight, that tonight I'm going to eat a good salad, then I would definitely say a salad is not going to make us healthy overnight, and then a
Yeah.
one burger is not going to make us gain all the weight. So there's not an overnight quick fix for this, because
Mm-hmm.
we said chronic inflammation can be caused due to different factors.
Yes.
Now, the great news, because we said it is caused by several factors, that means if we put a little bit of work on different factors, we can still gain a big result. I'll
Okay.
repeat myself again.
Yeah.
So inflammation can be due to multiple factors.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, if I put a little bit work on those different factors, I can still get the benefits.
Yeah.
So there is a saying that I so much believe in it, Mekisha. We say, don't change one thing 10%, change 10 things 1%,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's easier and you get a huge number without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it is true. Like a lot of people always want to have this quick fix. Unfortunately, we live in the age where it's like, okay, so let me just find like what do they call it now? I forgot the typical word that they say. It's like like quick tips, or debulking it. They just trying to find a way to just like fast track it, a hack. That's it.
I,
That's the word I was
I,
looking for. Everyone's trying to find this hack in terms of their skin, but they don't realize it's like there's a series of different things that you have to do, or there's a series of things that you have to kind of take. But it's true, because a lot of people want something really quick, a quick fix and so forth. And I always tell them that it can't be a quick fix. There's a lot of different things that are going to matter, and that's why we have so many of our health experts that can help in all different areas of what's going to kind of fix their eczema or bring them on the right path to healing their eczema. Because even when it comes to skincare, or even if they're getting steroid creams, they think it's a quick fix, but it's not. It's more so you're building the right healthy patterns, you're building the right self-care methods, you're building the right kinds of techniques to help your skin, versus trying to find this quick way of like addressing it. So I do appreciate that distinguishing difference between acute and, again, that chronic inflammation, and then the right ways of kind of trying to treat it. So do you find that there might be certain foods that people can focus on in this summer season? Again, we're in the northern hemisphere, so it's summer, but do you find there's going to be certain foods that people can really focus on that will help them with their inflammation or bringing it down?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for rephrasing that, Mekisha. I will talk about the food, but first I would tell them the process on what it
Mm.
is. So
Okay.
because everybody is different, what might cause trigger to me might not cause trigger to you. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I would highly recommend everybody to consult with your healthcare practitioners or with registered dietitians as well, or if we're working one-on-one. So this is not an individualized, I would say, tip that I'm giving. This is a
Yeah.
general tip that we are providing. A lot of the time, if something triggers me, I
Mm.
stopped eating that 4 to 6 weeks.
Ah,
So let's
okay.
say it's eggs, because eggs or seafood, it's for me. Again, for me, eggs and seafood causes a lot of triggers. So what I
Mm-hmm.
did, I stopped it for 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Once I eliminated that from my body, then after that, I reintroduced it slowly, because within
Okay.
that 4 to 6 weeks, I felt a huge difference.
Yeah.
Then, of course, I was supervised by a naturopath. So then I slowly reintroduced it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in my journey, because I had chronic inflammation as well, eggs and seafood, lots of citrus food, and anything which says coloring or natural flavor. So anything that I pick up and then in the back of it says coloring agents or natural flavors, those can
Yes.
cause a lot of inflammation.
Yeah, because
And
they're processed. They're basically foreign elements that your body's like, what is this? CG5 red 221? Like, what is this number that you're
what is
putting
this
in my
number?
body? Broccoli? No, it's 225 red 000. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we need to first understand the GI tract timing. So this is a
Mhm.
very interesting that a lot of people might not know is what we call intestinal transit time. So the intestinal transit time means how long does it take for my body when I eat the food and then excrete out of my body. So I eat the
Mm.
food and it's out of my body. It's an easy
Yes.
way for people to understand if they have inflammation or if they don't have inflammation, or if these foods are triggering me or not triggering me, right? So
Hmm.
number one is our everything that we eat, it takes 4 to 6 hours for our small intestine to digest it, and then it goes to our largest intestine that takes up to 12 hours. Now,
Okay.
a lot of us, we so much focus on what to put in our body and we forget the importance of bowel movement. I'm sorry that if I'm triggering somebody
No,
here,
go ahead.
but trust me, if you want to know the body's health, you need to focus on the poop
Yes.
health. Simple as that.
Yes.
Like literally, our ancestors, like 2 to 4 times per day going or having a bowel movement is ideal.
Okay.
Now with my clients or with the journey that I have been, I would say we will be lucky if somebody has 1 or 2 bowels movement per day.
I
So
know, I've heard that. A lot of people are sometimes they're like, oh, I haven't pooped for the last 2 days. And it's just like, there's something
right,
wrong with that. Because from what I would figure, especially myself, every day. So again, I know that's also another thing because that means that the body's not digesting, right?
that's the body is digesting, but the body is not excreting.
Ah,
So
great
that
difference.
means that the body digested the food, the body absorbed the nutrients, and now there's out. I would say that what needs to come out of the body is sitting in the body. It's not coming out of the body.
Yeah.
So that causes a lot of inflammation, right? Because
Okay. It's
the
holding on
job
to
of the food.
toxins. Hmm.
Exactly. So the job of the food is done. I ate it. The digestive system, which we said is, it takes almost 12 hours. So that's why in a 24-hour, I should be having 2 to 3 times or at least 1 to 2 times of bowel movement. If I don't have that, that means the food is sitting in my intestine. The food is sitting in my body, and that is
Mm.
taking all the toxins, and that can trigger my gut. So our gut has more than like trillion immune cells, and I'm talking about trillion immune
Yes.
cells. So if I have the food sitting in my body, that of course causes inflammation.
Yeah.
Now what kind of foods can sit longer and it's not coming out of our body, or a lot of high amount of red meat, high amount of dairy products, processed food, and sugar. So
Mm.
if somebody wants to avoid inflammation, number one thing is see how many times do you go to poop. Number two, after knowing your bowel movement per day, you need to know, is my fiber intake good or not? So the way we need to know if the fiber intake is good or not,
Yes, Matthew.
yes, Matthew, absolutely. So the fiber intake definitely help with the transit time. The way it helps with the transit time, it actually pulls the water. So it does it by two things. Number one, it pulls the water, and number two, it prevents the bad bacteria.
Okay. So fibrous foods, can you give me three that are we can easily find, but those are other ones that will kind of like help us that we can have on a regular basis without giving us too much bloating and then obviously the other issues.
Right. So when I'm talking about fiber, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about the powder ones that comes in the shops that I put it in the water
Yeah,
and I drink it,
that's
right?
not fiber.
That is not, unfortunately. But if for somebody who's not taking anything, then I okay understand a little bit is better than nothing because we are all about healthy, sustainable ways, one step at a time. But how we need to know before I tell you about what foods, I'll say how much fiber we need to be taking. Okay, so
Okay.
from our ancestral times till now, we used to say 1 gram of fiber per 20 calories.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so now we have come in a generation, unfortunately, it is hard, or we will be lucky to have 1 gram of fiber in 100 calories.
Yeah. Yeah, because like the food is so different now that people are not really going for that because it's not fun, sexy, looking kind of food. Everyone's like, oh, I don't want to eat that. But there's all these different ways we can get fiber, especially in a more sexier way, I guess I would call it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I would first say the recommendation. So, based on the Canadian Food Guide and our regulations, they say 20 to 30 gram or 28 gram, which I personally do not agree. That is still very less, and you will be surprised. Some people don't even get that. So, in my, I would say, life holistic journey, I would say 40 to 50 gram of fiber is very, very average. And the way I said is 1 gram of fiber per 20 calories. Some of the
Hmm.
things that we can have which are high in fiber can be sprouts. So
Yeah.
it can be, even a lot of people don't think about it, but almonds have good fiber. That crunchiness in the
Yes.
almonds, it has
Not
fiber
almond
in it
milk,
as well.
people. Stay away from that almond
Stay
milk.
away from the almond milk, 100%. So celery, that chewy thing
Mm.
in vegetables, that is the fiber. We're talking about the non-soluble fiber
Yeah.
versus the soluble fiber. Okay, so we have two types of fiber. So some examples can be sprouts, broccoli, celery, carrots. If we're
Mhm.
talking about those are vegetarian ones. If we're talking about fruits, blackberry, blueberries, any kind of berries is good. Now, because I'm a big fan of good fat, avocados, you get two in one. You get the benefits of your fat
Mm.
and you get the benefits of your fiber. Or lentils, like there
Mhm.
are certain cultures that they put so much importance on that, and that's why they have less inflammation overall if we look at it. Now,
Mhm.
I will give one tip for anybody who's joining this for you to know if you have inflammation in your GI tract or not. Is very simple. Take one beetroot and eat it. And then if within 12 hours you go to the washroom and you see that your bowel is red,
Yes.
that means your body's processing it and excreting it. If within 12 to 24 hours you do not see that your stool gets red,
Mhm.
that means we have inflammation and the body is holding on to it. So that is when you need to go. Now there are certain things that you can
Corn.
go, I know, or corn. But you can also go to your healthcare workers, and your family doctors will give you some tests, but that is very easy for us to know. So if
Mhm.
I would conclude this topic, I would make it very simple, and I would say if we want to avoid anything which has high amount of inflammation,
Mhm.
which is equal to less fiber, we are talking about how high amount of red meat, high amount of dairy products, processed food, and sugar.
Mhm.
And
And it's kind of
if we're
interesting because when you're saying red meat, there's a lot of other benefits about having red meat for eczema because of the iron and the proteins that are in there as well too. So it's like I guess that having that right balance of how much red meat you're consuming because some people they'll see these posts and be like steak red meat is good for your eczema, eat it all crazy, but then they
yes,
don't realize, unfortunately, it also has those other side effects that kind of, affect eczema, especially like you're
right.
saying right now.
Right. So I love meat. I'm not against meat at all. I eat meat all the time. The problem is not the meat, but the problem is where we are buying them. So imagine how
Mm.
much amount of antibiotics they are giving to that cow or any kind of meat that we are eating. So
Yes.
we are eating antibiotics that we don't need, right? So that is when
Uh-huh.
I'll go and refer back to what I said, that our body's trying to fight a problem that problem does not
Yeah.
exist. So if you have an organic good meat and you know where the source is coming
Yeah.
from, absolutely, it's amazing. But the reason why I said high amount of meat, because there is very less
Yeah.
fiber. And when I say very less fiber, we said fiber is extremely important for our digestive system because it pulls the water, and it also promotes good bacteria, and it prevents bad bacteria. So if
Hmm.
you know the source of where the meat is coming,
Yes.
then I would definitely suggest it. But the keywords are here is high amount. So we don't want to have a high amount of it. And one supplement I would suggest while we are having this topic can also be magnesium. So if somebody does
Yes.
not have good bowel movement, they can have magnesium citrate. So that will help them with the bowel movement. So instead of having that food sitting down in their intestine.
No, that's a good tip. Thank you. Because I feel like, we one thing is a lot of people are not having a lot of their supplements. They're not really having a lot of different, variety of food. Because I think one thing I noticed is a very big trend right now is that people are sticking to the same meals over and over again. They're not having a variety of different types of meals because unfortunately, when they're not having these different variety of meals, that's why they're going to have a lot less of the fiber, because people are sticking to the trending food, processed food, or the same typical meals all the time, but they're not realizing it's not very colorful. There's not very much different amounts of different kinds of foods that are fibrous. And then, yeah, that tip of giving, having some magnesium citrate is really good, because if you're not having those colorful types of food, at least if you have that, that will definitely kind of push you along and help you with the bowel movement. So my other question is, before we wrap up, is what about exercise? Because again, you are the queen of the exercise world, man. I see your stuff and I'm just like,
Thank you.
yeah, I'll get there one day.
Well,
So my
definitely
question
will.
is, pardon?
I said you definitely will. It's one step at a time. It's definitely one step at a time, but you 100% will get there.
Thank you. So, what about exercise? Like, does exercise help with inflammation? Because I know it helps me in terms of just sweating and bacteria and just energy movement and so forth. So, I want to have that kind of debunked, or kind of, really clarified in terms of just exercise. How does that help with it?
Great question. First of all, exercise is extremely important, and we all must. Capital MUST. We all must exercise. Now, when we are talking about eczema and exercise, I do understand, acknowledge, and validate that sometimes exercises trigger, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it causes more itchiness when our
Yeah.
eczema condition.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
when working with the right healthcare worker or the expert in fitness is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
my tips for exercise would be, if somebody has eczema and it's very triggering, try to do activities in water, right? So for
Yeah.
example, swimming, for example, which we will come back to that later, is a sauna, steam sauna, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're somebody who does not like to do a lot of things in the water, like aquafit and these stuff, then
Mm-hmm.
watch what you wear during your exercise, because we need to understand the material of the workout clothes. Unfortunately, they
Mm-hmm.
do not think about the kinds of skin conditions that exist out there, right?
Yeah.
So we do have these amazing looking outfit clothes, but that might trigger. So a lot of people stop exercising thinking that is the exercise that trigger my
Yeah.
eczema, but it's actually the clothes that they're wearing during their exercise.
Yeah.
Then another tip I would definitely say is Now, if you know that you're doing exercises that you have fun, or you're doing it in the water, or you chose the right outfit, then I definitely will say do something that is not too high intensity. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a very big fan of long duration. My keyword here is long duration, high intensity interval training, because
Yes.
that suddenly generate that heat and itchiness in the skin. So my tips would be definitely go with low intensity, long duration, like walking, jogging, right, or swimming or cycling. But more important, strength training. So we focus
Mm-hmm.
so much on, I go to walk every day, but I'm not losing weight. I do understand, and you will not lose weight, because no amount of beautiful walks in the nature, relaxing yoga will not benefit you if you're not lifting some weights.
It's so true. I get that so many times. And you know, we both know this, you know, working at where we do sometimes. And it's like, people are like, oh, I walk. But like, okay, but you know, you that's called movement. It's not called exercise. Movement is different from exercise. And it is true. I find, you know, when it comes to eczema, especially myself, and whenever I would have flare-ups, and I work out pretty much, you know, 4 times a week and everything. And it is true. Sometimes the gloves that I'm wearing or the types of weights that I'm holding could actually irritate my skin, depending on the clothing that I'm wearing. And that's why everyone needs to not get so excited about these new spandex, because that also constricts your body. It doesn't allow it to breathe. It doesn't allow it to sweat properly. And that's what, you know, is causing the eczema, but not the action itself of doing exercise is causing eczema. We don't need you to be sweating a pile, but we need you to excrete, right? Like, we need you to get some of these toxicity coming out of the skin. So then that way the body is finding another way of reducing that inflammation. So, you know, I definitely agree with it. I don't agree with the water completely, because, you know, depending on how much chlorine is in there, oh, that's just tearing up the eczema. But, you know, if they go to a natural beach, that's something different. But I do agree with water exposure, because again, another taboo in the eczema world is don't get wet. You know, getting water on you hurts. Don't exercise, because if you sweat, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yes.
And it's just like, come on, stop it. So you basically are saying keep the sweat and keep the nastiness on your skin, keep the inflammation in your body. We need to get out. Sea salt ocean. My goodness, I know not everyone can take a vacation and go to Jamaica and be like, let me get in that salt water, but at least getting that water exposure and just getting the body movement in terms of having that exercise will definitely help. So thank you so much for today's, you know, tips. I really enjoyed it, because, you know, it's just really giving people that understanding and the clarity about what they can do to reduce inflammation. And how you broke down inflammation was amazing, because I never really took it in that way. I never really looked at it as a silent kind of thing that people are in denial about. You know, a lot of people look at inflammation as in, I don't feel hot, I don't feel this. And it's like, what? No, you need to you need to look at it as something else different. And you explained it beautifully. And yes, you know, our bath salts are Dead Sea salt, so people can definitely use that, and, you know, probably do some exercise in their bathtub with their bath salts in there. But please let people know a little bit more about, you know, your program really quickly before we wrap up, so they can, you know, get some information from you or find you and get that assistance that they need.
Thank you so much, Mekisha. I do appreciate it. Before I go to Well to Well or my online gym, I want people to understand that we want to avoid chemicals. We didn't reach to that because of the lack of time, so I do understand. So chemicals means everywhere and anywhere, from your clothes to the spray that you're using for your perfume, to the chemicals in the water, to the detergent that we are using, to the gloves that we are wearing, to the clothes. So let's avoid any kind of chemicals. Let's avoid direct long duration of sun exposure, because we are in summer. So I want to make sure we understand that before you go to exercise and after, skincare routine is extremely important. So before we go to there, we can use the products that you're currently using or Everbella products. And same thing, the aftercare is extremely important. So Well to Well. So we are an online gym. That means you can exercise with us from anywhere in the world. world. We have international clients. Our focus is looking good from inside out. That means let's talk about nutrition, let's talk about mindset, and then movement is part of it. Trust me, you can do all the amazing things from outside, but if we do not feel and do the right thing from inside, you're just going through that cycle and spending lots of money, time, and energy. So let's look at it from a holistic approach, and that is my idea. So we offer online group classes 7 days a week.
Oh my
We
gosh.
offer it is a lot. So that means a lot of time people are like, I don't exercise because I don't have time, or it's too expensive, or I can't make it to the gym. So we have taken all those reasons down. If you can't make it to the gym, you can exercise from home. If it is inflexible or inconvenient, we have different modalities. We have from yoga to cardio kickboxing to boot camp to circuit training. And we also offer them different timings from 6 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. We have 4 options that they can choose from. And no matter what class they join, they always get to join and then meet me once a month so that we can create the programs according to their schedule, their health history, and of course their goals, which is one thing that we sometimes really need to make it realistic.
I know. We're like, I just want 6-pack, and you're like, okay, so it's not going to happen. You're going to get 2-pack, okay? And that's all that's going to happen, right? So thank you so much. And, for all of the people that were watching, our next topic for next month is really understanding detoxing, because, we're going from that beautiful summer season going into the fall, and we want to help people go from that nice beautiful transition. But I appreciate everyone coming on today. Thank you so much, Zahra. It was such a pleasure, and I love chatting to you about nutrition because I learned something new, and I know all of our viewers are definitely getting some information that helps them with their eczema, because eczema issues are literally kind of rising, and we're trying to decrease them a little bit at a time, but the holistic way, the more self-care way, and the way that just helps everyone from mind, body, soul, skin, the whole shebang. So thank you so much, and I say bye to everybody.
Yes, have a great day, everybody. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you so much, Mekisha.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Skin Deep podcast. Don't forget to download your free guide to our 10 hacks to great skin. Just check the link in our bio. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Have an amazing day, everyone, and enjoy your self-care Sunday.